ever wondered why we're here? It's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it?
Vampire's Best Friend is some of the most fun I've had this year. A precision platformer where you can only flap left or right, and you gain height with each flap you take. A fascinating premise with inventive challenges and an open-endedness that lets you carve your way to the end. Right when I think I have a hang on the controls, I fly into a room that tests me even further. And it feels so good to overcome each and every one of them. The different areas of the mansion make you think of your movement in a new way, and you will be very surprised as what you will learn with the movement and what you are capable of by the time that you finish the game.
My favourite game feel of the year has to be Flickshot Row. It's a brilliant translation of a physical tabletop sensation into a digital space that works beautifully across both mouse and controller, which also makes it a fantastic Steam Deck game. True to its name, you literally flick your robes across the environment, knocking them into enemies and obstacles. The physics feel spot on, ricochets behave exactly as you expect, impacts have weight, and the game communicates trajectory and distance clearly, so you always understand how far a rogue will travel and what they might collide with. It's crunchy, tactile, and incredibly satisfying to play.
If it's not fun, why bother?
My favourite example of player expression this year is the small puzzle platformer Motion Wreck. You're given a single special ability, the power to record your movements and replay them anywhere else in the world. Ride an elevator and you can replay that motion to lift yourself through mid-air, walk across flat ground and you can replay it across spikes or gaps. In a way, it's a really clever reimagining of Metroid-style progression. Instead of unlocking predefined abilities like double jumps or speed boosts, the game lets you create your own. It's such a strong and elegant mechanic, and one I'd genuinely love to see explored in other games going forward.
Hi there, it's me, Alice, or Slugglove, the solo developer behind Rel, Warped Worlds and Troubled Times, which is a puzzle game all about being creative and finding unique solutions to puzzles. And the way I do this is making the game revolve around the spell book that gives the player the ability to combine keywords to make a unique spell. So you can combine fire and up to make something tend to fire and shoot upwards, or you could also combine fire and ice to make it water because the fire melts the ice and makes things water. It's all about being creative and having fun, and because of that the game has a whole lot of open-ended stuff in it and a whole lot of open-ended puzzles and just things the player can do. It's kind of more of an immersive sim, if you want to be technical about it, and not really a puzzle game, but that's just me. It's a really fun game to work on. I really like making Rel. I think it's been just so much of a treat. I have loved making every aspect of Rel. I think in my little heart of hearts, I just want to code and make stuff all day. So the fact that I've got to solo develop this game is just really fun for me. I've had a lot of fun doing it, and a lot of fun making it, and honestly every single aspect, even the like minute little, well, every single aspect except for doing like UI coding and like menuing and buttons, I don't like those. But everything else, I've had a real treat making. I think my favourite part of developing Rel is when I was developing all the spell systems. There's 100 million unique combinations of spells, and these all kind of work on a algorithmic system that I made where blah blah blah, the things combine and the numbers of things blah blah blah. It's very complicated, and it's basically in that system I have a lot of like preset combinations of things, like fire and ice don't logically do anything in the game system, so I have to go into the code and be like, well, in this situation I know that mathematics just determines that it's going to become fire by default because it's fire and ice, but in this situation it should do a combination, it should make water. And I think that's definitely been a lot of my fun aspects of making Rel, where it's just been me going into the very specific code that I have made and making it even more specific, which I think is really fun because it's a lot of like very minor, really specific combinations that don't have a logical thing that happens when they combine together, like the elemental stuff and a couple others. And I think making those sort of combinations and mechanics for stuff that happen when I do make those systems in Rel is really fun. My example for this is just a huge spoiler for the game, so close your ears if you don't want to hear that. But later on in the game you get a spell that destroys stuff, so it's a keyword that lets you add a spell combination that will add the effect of destruction to whatever your spell is. And this is really fun because you can blow stuff up, and I like that. I like breaking stuff. But my issue with this and design of Rel was, well, Rel's all about creativity and spell combos, but if you combine a bunch of stuff with destroy, it doesn't really do much. Like, I can make something transform into fire and then get destroyed, but it's like, cool, for one frame it was on fire before it blew up. What does that matter? What use is that in the game? It really isn't. So in designing it, I realized that, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go into this, I'm gonna hard code a bunch of really specific situations and logics, specifically if you use destroy and then another spell combo. And I think that's been my favorite part of making Rel, just making this like super specific coding thing for, okay, what happens if the player wants to bring something to life and destroy stuff in the same spell? Obviously it's like a logical fallacy, it's not going to work, so I have to make something for it to work. So I think that part of Rel has been my favourite, just making this unique, really specific system, and then going into that and finding ways in which the system that I've made hasn't accommodated for like certain stuff, and then making it more specific and more detailed. And I love doing stuff like that. Oh, I love coding so much. It's so much fun. It's so much fun doing weird, unique stuff.
Ooh is a wonderful example of quiet but confident game lounge communication. Outside of a few basic button prompts at the start, there are no traditional tutorials. Instead, the game relies on strong level design and visual conveyance to teach you what your moveset can do. You're gently funneled through what are essentially invisible tutorials. You reach a dead end, discover a new wrinkle to your ability, then walk back and use that knowledge to unlock an entirely new path forward. By the end, you're fluent in the game's mechanical language. It's exactly how puzzle platformers should teach you their ideas.
You know, it's a fantastic game that came out in 2025. That game, Ooh. And I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's really good. It's that game where you're like a little worm and you place bombs, and it's like a Metroidvania, but it's also kind of a puzzle game. Oh my gosh, this game is fantastic. I played it, I got it, played it in like 3 hours, beat it. I'm gonna lie and say 2 hours actually, because 3 hours feels last long. But it's a really short game, but it is so creative and so fun in what it does. And I think it is an incredibly like unique and interesting take on like a Metroidvania as a whole, because I think what a lot of Metroidvanias have is like you get items and they let you progress further, but a thing in Ooh is you only get one item, and then the rest of your progression is just things that you as the player learn and pick up, like knowledge based. So it's just you like uncovering unique systems and things you can do in this game that you could do the whole time, but it's just you realizing it. And I think that's such an interesting design, such like a cool way to design a world and a game around it. I just think it's really cool.
Angeline Era is a game that ignites curiosity and continuously meets your feet when you choose to explore every crevice of the world. This game speaks a fantastic language that permeates every aspect of its design, to the bump slashing combat, the navigation of the overworld and levels, and the thematics on display through both the characters and world. Angeline Era is a game that makes my eyes pop and jaw drop so often from the way it runs with every facet of its holistic experience.
Imperious DX is easily my favourite arcade-style game of the year. I love its Vector-inspired 3D visuals and its intense, risk-reward driven gameplay, where upgrading your ship often means trading control for raw speed. That tension carries beautifully across the campaign, with difficulty escalating alongside shifts in the colour palette and visual intensity. It's also very cheap on Steam, the modern equivalent of a perfect quarter muncher.
Unbeatable is a gorgeous rhythm narrative game that I wholeheartedly recommend even for those unfamiliar with rhythm games. But I want to focus on the arcade mode, a slick and customizable UI that makes me feel like I'm stepping up to a rhythm game at an arcade, and that is a feeling I adore. So many songs to choose from, and I always find myself torn between perfecting one song and going to play others. Even if I boot up the game to play one or two songs, I walk away feeling a warmth in my chest that stays with me. Evil Egg is as it presents, a hectic visual barrage that seems impossible to parse, only for you to slowly learn more through every attempt at a higher score. This is simply a superb arcade experience that is unabashedly baroque. If this looks interesting to you, you probably will become absorbed by what it has to offer. Fly Night has a game feel that makes me feel like I'm wading in a ball pit of crunch and dither. With every few swings and spells cast, enemies turn shades darker for diegetic feedback that is both satisfying and specific of how my moment to moment is going. The movement is slow and deliberate, with weight behind every action I take. It leaves a feeling that each one is of equal importance, and not being intentional will leave me less favor to win an encounter. It balances an equal part tension from the unknown, unwavering focus in combat, relief of success, and the tranquility of exploration. Even in the breaths between bit-crushed attacks clashing off my opponent's shield, only to have a sliver of stamina left to parry their oncoming blow, I feel calm in the environment around me. That is what Fly Night is capable of. Plus, casting your fishing rod is a lot of fun.
Hello everyone, I'm Suki, one of the developers of Bubblegum Galaxy, a cozy narrative building game about rebuilding the galaxy tile by tile. We've been working on the game for a long time now, ever since we announced it in 2022, but this year everything has finally begun to fall in place. It's been challenging to combine both a narrative 3D adventure game and a building gameplay, but it's also been a lot of fun to create characters and levels for this world. You can check out Bubblegum Galaxy and wishlist it on Steam. See you soon with more news!
Also Blueprints. I like a puzzle game, obviously, based on what I designed. I think Blueprints is also a fantastic game that came out this year. Obviously, everyone knows that. Everyone's played Blueprints. It's great. It's just a really, really fun, creative time. I think it's also, personally speaking, I really like roguelikes that aren't action games. I think roguelike is a really unique genre and a really fun genre, but I feel like a lot of them are kinda, not samey, but they're all a very similar genre. So I do like a roguelike that isn't an action game and isn't about combat, and I think Blueprints is a really good example of how you can do that. Just like good gameplay-wise puzzle game that is really fun and really engaging to the player, and it lets you think about a lot of stuff. And I think it is similar with Ooh. It's a game that its progression, a lot of it is based on your own player knowledge, so it's you learning stuff as the actual person playing it and not getting stuff in games, that is letting you do stuff in the game. And it's really rewarding, I think, for a game to do that, to base its progression on the person playing it getting smarter and learning stuff. So I think that's really fun.
There's a room that can take you to the other side. I just wanted to let you know, in case I don't come back.
I'll probably be echoing a lot of people here, but Peak was my favourite multiplayer game of the year. Games that use voice over IP as a core mechanic have really flourished lately, and Landfall and Aggro Crab's take of a scouting trip gone wrong is quite inspired. Through the need to constantly communicate, natural leaders emerge, plans fall apart, and moments of chaotic improvisation feel like you're coordinating a deeply awkward camping expedition. Any future successors of Peak have a very high bar to clear.
I'll carry you.
Hello? I'm good, honey. What can I do for you?
To a T has a world that is radiating with wonder. and one that makes me feel whole by just existing within it. The team at Uvula have really put together a place that transports me entirely. I love the interesting characters, the different parts of the island, the joy from wandering and exploring. 2AT will be a virtual space that I'll be returning to for years to come, even if just to run around and talk to random characters. I'd also like to shout out Formless Star, which has such good vibes, cute biomes, funny writing, and you get to document all sorts of curious creatures.
Time Flies is a wonderfully miniaturized take on the fail-forward checklist-style adventure games that Panic has become known for, like Untitled Goose Game and Thank Goodness You're Here. This feels almost like a WarioWare spin on that formula. You have just a minute or less to live a fulfilling life. The game is deliberately cryptic about what you're supposed to do, encouraging you to poke, prod, and experiment with the world, either out of mischievous curiosity or in the hopes that something might contribute to that progression. And in a strange way, it's kind of poetic. You can't know what will benefit you unless you're willing to take a few risks.
I think I've only played weird freak games because another game I really liked in 2025 is I really like the Ina Dream Barbecue demo. I'm a huge fan of that series. It's an animated series on YouTube, and a demo came out for a game of it, and it is so good. It's amazing. It is just, you walk around and you talk to people, and it's animated, and chapter 1 is great, and it's just weird, and I like it. It's a game for freaks, and I am a freak that likes it. It's just wholly a creative piece of art that I think is really fun, and I think if you like weird little pieces of art games, you'll definitely enjoy it. And if you don't, play it anyway. It's good. It's a good game.
Rated T for Teen.
Yes! Wanna go again? There we go. Another one? Again? Keep playing? One more? Another one? Yes! Wanna go again? Yeah!
Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 has online for Wii, Disc Fusion for the PlayStation 2 computer entertainment system, and over 150 playable characters. How long will you play?
Wanna go again?
Huh? What? Where?
In stores now.
Cram. Cram. Ooh. Oh.
Photographer? Oh, you bet. Not a normal one, but Lev's a good one for sure. Look at this. 3 different myths in one photo. You don't see that every day. This one's valued at about $9. That's money. The myths may look goofy, and they are, but you still get the occasional eldritch entity every now and then. Lev doesn't really seem to mind. He's fine. He'll do all sorts of weird shit if it gets him a nice photo of a bunch of cryptids. Man, I've never seen a photoslev move like he does. Give him a good enough slope and he'll reach any flying object, identified or not.
My favourite soundtrack of this year is Sam Webster's Morsels OST. The game itself is gorgeous, a top-down shooter blended with roguelike elements, but the soundtrack really pulls the whole experience together. Its psychedelic mix of rock and electronica is propulsive and bouncy, matching the action perfectly, while also feeling distorted and fuzzy, much like the game's CRT-drenched visuals. It's super catchy and suits the looping nature of the game beautifully too. It's also the only soundtrack this year that's actually made it into my regular music rotation.
Contract Rush DX is a lot of things. Ambitious, pulpy, charming, and an absolute wonderful time. I love everything about this game, which means that I also love this game's soundtrack. An incredibly varied amount of songs, from breakcore to soft piano and guitar ballads. This soundtrack has songs that get my heart racing, melodies I hum in my daily life, and the placing of all of these songs within game is absolutely flawless.
What's my favourite thing that fans have said when playing the demo? I think my favourite thing has been watching fans solve a puzzle, and they solve it in a very, very unique way that I haven't thought of. They say, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you could do that in RAL, that's crazy." And I have to nod my little head and be like, I totally accounted for players doing that. I'm lying so hard. So there's a puzzle in RAL's demo, which is not intended for the demo to be able to do the puzzle. It's like a bridge, and there's a big gap and there's like a floating item, and you can get the item. This is actually just a thing that's not supposed to be pushable in the demo, but I didn't realize that there was a bunch of ways you can get this in the demo. Just this morning, I had someone in the Rel Discord post a picture where they had built a bridge manually in-game using a magical object you can place, and they have built a bridge across this diagonally up in the air over to this item, and I was looking at that and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you can do that in Rel. So I think that has been so crazy to see, of players doing stuff in Rel that I have not figured out that you can do in Rel. There's somehow stuff that I, as the creator of something, haven't realized could even be possible, and I think that's really amazing. I think that's really cool with games as a medium in general.
Had so great a victory been mine, I would have said the same.
This year I had the chance to get to know the team at Colorgrave better, and it's been genuinely eye-opening. I've only been a fan of their work for a short time, but learning more about the decisions behind their games and the challenges of being a micro-indie studio gave me a new appreciation for what they do. They're steadily building a fascinating portfolio inspired by Game Boy Color era design, complete with recurring characters across titles. They've made great platformers, Zelda-likes, and even a farming sim, and it's a brilliant example of how versatile the indie space can be, and how working within auditor constraints can still produce exceptional, healthy, and creatively fulfilling work. This might be an unusual answer, but I really connected with Ad Hoc Studios' Dispatch. It's been a while since we've had a new Telltale style experience, and I didn't realise just how much I missed the weekly conversation with friends about the choices we make each new episode, and those big TV style wow moments. Beyond that, the game's unique dispatch mechanic does a great job grounding you in the lives of its characters, and with such a wide range of personalities and identities on display, really can't help but just see parts of yourself reflected in them.
Metal Garden is an atmospheric first-person shooter that takes place in a megastructure. As someone who grew up playing early 2000s FPS games, I really connected with this game's level design and enemy encounters. The gunplay is smooth, the light platforming is engaging, and the sound design is very engrossing. I even spent a considerable amount of time replaying each area so I could pore over every aspect of it. No matter what Tinerasoft's next game is, I'll be excited for it after the tight and fulfilling experience that was Metal Garden.
Goodbye then. Be safe, friend. Don't you dare go on,
Bits and Bops makes me so incredibly happy. A bunch of hand-drawn rhythm mini-games bursting with personality. With the songs only requiring 1 to 2 buttons, there is a wide skill floor so anyone can pick up and play, but with clever usage of time signatures and visuals on display, it can get very tricky to get it perfect on some songs. There's other fun things I'd rather not spoil, but just know that this is a game I'll be coming back to over and over again.
Game Boy Advance.
わっ岩だせーのどこだどこでどこで嫌だお敵だやっつけろお鍵だあれ協力抜けがけなんでもありだやった俺のだずるい
戦い方は君次第。4人でワイワイ大冒険、4つの剣、そして神々のトライフォースも2つの伝説が1本に。ゼルダの伝説、神々のトライフォース &4 つの剣。
Skin Deep wasn't just a great return for Blendo Games, but also a fantastic new entry in the immersive sim lineage. Dishonored and Deus Ex are amongst my favourite AAA games of the Xbox 360 era, and Skin Deep puts a clever indie spin on that tradition. It's far funnier both in its presentation and in the way its emergent systems naturally lead to gags. That humour makes it a great entry point for a genre that can feel intimidating because the game expects you to make funny mistakes. Failure feels playful rather than punishing. Its short, replayable levels also suit a pick-up-and-play approach, encouraging experimentation. The spirit of the immersive sim is very much alive here, and I hope it inspires more indie takes on the genre.
Danger. Wonky space.
"何かに引き寄せられた。すべては から始まったんだ。
冒険にはいつも仲間がいた。力を合わせれば何だってできる気がした。
やった。心を奮い立たせる言葉があった。心を躍らせる景色が広がっていた。時には心を締め付けられる決断もあった。たくさんのことを教えてもらった。
このゲームと出会えたから
今がある。これからがある。続け、聖剣伝説のある人生。聖剣伝説ビジョンズ・オブ・マナ発売決定。
My favourite game of 2025 is Trampoline Tales' Maze Mice. I first learned about the studio through my fascination with 2024's Siactro, discovering that its design was inspired by TT's earlier game Luck Be a Landlord. That made me incredibly curious to see what they'd do next, and, well, Maze Mice didn't disappoint. It's a brilliant blend of Pac-Man, Vampire Survivors, and Superhots. On paper that sounds odd, but in practice it makes perfect sense. The first two mesh beautifully, with experience orbs replacing pellets and lines of cats chasing you for the mazes, while the Superhot style time manipulation adds a layer of strategy to what would otherwise be relentless action. It looks fantastic, sounds great, and has an addictive progression loop that keeps pulling you back in. But it's become my go-to chill-out game during calls or downtime, and as a result, it's the game I've put the most hours into this year. It's really a testament to how indie developers can take familiar ideas and give them a bold and personal identity.
My favorite game of the year is Kirby Air Riders. Words can't even begin to describe how happy this game makes me. A sequel to the first game was something I would dream about, but never did I think it would actually happen. When I play this game, it feels like a dream, like I'm staring at my Switch 2 and hallucinating it. Every aspect of this game is firing on all cylinders, and I am just so happy that it exists. I love playing all the game modes, roaming around in free ride, taking photos with the photo mode, and just hanging out in people's paddocks. This game is so delightful, and I don't know if it will ever set in that I have this game for the rest of my life.
I'm often hesitant to pin down upcoming indie games, as so many of the best ones arrive as quiet surprises throughout the year. But on the larger side, I'm really excited for the return of Tomb Raider in 2026. The GameCube era entries remain some of my favourite 3D Zelda-like adventures, and they're almost like prototypical testbeds for the climbing, shooting, and cinematic action that games like Uncharted and Horizon would later refine. And really, with another remake of the first game on the way, I'm actually kind of hopeful that its smaller scope and linear structure will give the developer space to show something genuinely new within the 3D adventure game formula.
Even before playing the demo, I've been so excited for 500 caliber contracts. The style is so poignant, the movement is water, the contextualization of everything grounds you within the world, and you get to assassinate CEOs of big companies. The developer Bryce Booher describes it as, "What if Mario 64 had a gun?" And I think that's pretty succinct. Another game that has a demo out that I had so much fun with is Bobo Bay, a creature raising sim where you get to have your Bobos compete in a plethora of events. It is infinitely adorable, so go play the demo now if you haven't. Thank you so much for watching to the end. I hope we were able to show you a bunch of cool games that you might have missed. Thank you to everyone involved, Hot Cider, Slug Glove, the Bubblegum Galaxy dev team, and all the developers in and out of the show. All of the devs out there, past, present, and future, you are deeply valued by everyone who loves this medium. Video games are still in their infancy, and you all are pushing boundaries by just making your vision. Thank you to my wife for supporting me and making cool art for this. Please comment your favorite games or gaming memories this year. And I want to remind you, Interwebs viewer, just by watching this you are supporting human art and human internet. I will see you all next year. And as Etika would say, take care of yourselves, and of course, as usual, please have yourself a damn good one.